And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And I'll tell you, I spent some time over the weekend getting my brain sharpened up so that I could assist you with working on your financial freedom. So what did I do? What did I do over the weekend? Well, there were several Lifestyles Unlimited events that I attended over the weekend, and I'm just going to give you a back brief on what happened, okay? Fair enough? I think that's fair enough. So I'm a member of what's called the Preferred Investor Group. That's a subgroup within Lifestyles Unlimited within the community. And what we do in that group is we invest in multifamily assets primarily. Now, we can invest in single-family stuff. There are resources available to us if we want to do that. But the majority of the people in the Preferred Investor Group are primarily focused on multifamily investing. One of the things that we can do within that group is we can offer syndications to each other. We have a very, very well-defined set of rules that tells us how we operate in that environment. Now, one of the things that we have to do is we have to be conscientious of what the government is telling us we can and cannot do. And the people that run that world for us is something called the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission. Now, what they do is they say you can do certain things within the group, you can do certain things outside of the group. You can do within the group more things than you can do outside of the group. And by the way, the stuff that happens within the group has to stay within the group because that group is specialized because it's been set aside to do the things that we want to do with syndication. I know I probably just lost half the audience with that explanation, but you know, when the government gets involved with stuff, things get a little convoluted. It's just the way it is. And take it from a guy that spent like 30 years of his life working for government entities. Yeah, trust me, working for the government. Yeah, the worst thing that can happen to you is somebody from the government showing up and going, we're here from the government and we're here to help. And when you hear that, you should run unless they have guns and badges, in which case you should just stay put. All right, but that's not what I want to talk to you about. What I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about what I did over the weekend that helped re-engage my mind. It helped me refocus on what is going on with different things in the marketplace. I went to something called a single-family road trip. What's a single-family road trip? A single-family road trip is an education event that is designed for people not only in the Preferred Investor Group, but also another subgroup within Lifestyles Unlimited called the Challenge Group. The Challenge Group is a group dedicated primarily to buying single-family properties, anything from 1 to 4 unit, that's classified as single family, and it has resources associated with it that allow you to go real fast. So why would you want to be a part of something like the Challenge program when you can just be a member of the Financial Freedom program, which everybody joins at Lifestyles Unlimited, and you get all the education that you need in order to go do all this stuff yourself? Well, one of the things that the Challenge program offers is it offers additional resources. It offers dedicated mentoring. It offers access to a select group of buyers, brokers that work on behalf of you, the buyer, not on behalf of the seller of real estate. These are buyers agents, okay? So they work specifically for us as buyers. They can work for us if we're in a selling capacity, but that's the neat thing about them, is that we can develop a relationship with them. And now get this, they have something called a fiduciary obligation to us, which means they have to do everything possible to benefit our interests in a transaction. Does that make sense? Okay, so when you have a buyer's agent on your team, and you don't have to go into the Challenge program to do this. You can develop your own network of real estate agents. It's not that hard to do. We can teach you how to do all that stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. This is what I want you to focus on, though. I want you to focus on the difference between a seller's agent and a buyer's agent. If you are a seller, you want to have somebody who is acting as a seller's agent representing you. If you're acting as a buyer, you want somebody who's acting as a buyer's agent to represent you. And all of this stuff gets documented and signed, okay? So it's all legal and it's all binding. So these buyer's agents, what they're designed to do is they're designed to go out and scour the market. They scour all the markets. This is why you want to have that buyer's agent on your team, because you want somebody out there that is doing the hard work of looking for assets for you to buy. You want to have a buyer's agent representing you because they're a second set of eyes, ears, fingers, toes, the whole 9 yards, and they're working on your behalf. They are looking for things that maybe you might miss. And here's the thing. They're going to bring you real estate deals that may or may not work. Now, why are they bringing you real estate deals that may or may not work? Well, part of the reason is because there's somebody that's offering that property on the market. Yeah, somebody has made a decision that they want to sell a piece of real estate. They have a legal title to it, and they want to transact it. So maybe they engage a seller's agent, and then that seller's agent does everything that they do to get the word out that this property is on the market to everybody in their personal network and everybody in every other kind of network that they're associated with. The big network that they have is the multiple listing service. I mean, when that thing was designed, I want to say it was back in the 1980s, maybe it was even in the 70s, that thing became a deal changer, a game changer, if you will, because what it allowed to happen was the exchange of information between brokers. It used to be that brokers would get a listing and they'd have to pick up the phone. They'd have to call every other broker that they knew, and then they would have to get this. Fax information. Oh yeah, fax machines were the real deal back then. Fax information over to that brokerage so that that brokerage could see the information about the particular property. Oh, and get this, back in the 1980s, buyer's agents, they were a huge rarity. Yeah, back in those days, agents were pretty much, I think it was by law. Now, I might be wrong with this, and if you're an attorney, if you're a real estate attorney, and I'm getting this wrong, send me an email at askal@luinc.com. Make sure you correct me because I want to make sure that I share the right information. But I believe that by law, any real estate agent who was cooperating on a transaction had to be an agent of the seller. Yeah, had to be an agent of the seller. So if you were a buyer, you were all alone. You were all alone. Now that agent that was working with you, they had to treat you fairly and things like that. But they could take information that you shared and they would share it with the seller because they have to do that. And information that the seller shared with them would not be shared with you unless they had the seller's express permission to share that information. Yeah, so that could put you in a rock and a hard place. Well, around that time period, the buyer's agent started to come out of the woodwork. I think it had been there the entire time, and I think there were different parts of the country that were saying, look, at the end of the day, the buyer deserves representation. The buyer needs somebody who's disassociated with the transaction to represent them in the transaction so that the buyer can take their emotions and their biases out of the transaction. Yeah, that's one of the reasons you want to be represented. And a buyer's agent is the right agent for you when you're buying. Now, I will tell you this. I have one agent that I use. One agent I use exclusively. Her name is Bonnie. Okay, if you really want to know who she is, you can send me an email at askal@luinc.com. I may or may not share the information with you. I'm just being very clear with you because I'm not here to promote Bonnie. What I am here to promote is what Bonnie does for me. When I am in the process of buying property, she serves as a buyer's agent for me. When she brings me property to look at, I already have a fiduciary obligation with her. She knows that she's going to go out and she's going to find as much information as possible based on the information that I need so that I can make a decision on whether or not that's a property I want to buy. Okay, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't use Bonnie for buying. I don't. Because Bonnie is not necessarily skilled in the specific things that I want her to be skilled in because she operates in a different capacity as a realtor. She's really a selling agent. Did you know that? She's really somebody who lists properties. Now, she has helped me buy properties. From time to time, she will help me buy properties. But guess what kind of properties those are? They're for my personal residence. the one that I live in right now. She helped me buy this property because that's what she does on the buyer side. She doesn't want to work necessarily on the investor side with regards to acquisition. She chooses to work in the owner-occupant segment. But when it comes to selling assets, because I'm putting the best property on the market that competes as well with every other best property on the market, I need an agent that can get that done for me. And she knows how to list and sell properties. I mean, now granted, when we had the seller's market going on back, a year and a half ago when we were hardcore seller's market, I could put a property on the market and she could get the property negotiated up for me like $20,000, $25,000 over my asking price. Now, some of you would say, well, that's just the condition of the market. That's just what the market was doing at that time period. And I would say, yeah, there's some truth to that. But there's also some truth to the fact that Bonnie is very good at getting into the details of the transaction. She is very good at getting into the information that I need so that I can make an informed decision on a property. Now, what does this have to do with what I did over the weekend? This has everything to do with what I did over the weekend, because over the weekend at that single family road trip that I went to, there was a Lifestyles Unlimited Realty agent that was bringing a property to our attention. And this property has been on the market for a while. And everybody's trying to figure out what's wrong with this property. Why has this property been on the market for like 8 going on 9 months? What is really wrong with this thing? Well, one of the things that you do to find the solution is you bring a bunch of Lifestyles Unlimited members together. When we come back from the break, more beans will be spilled. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
A reminder from Del Walmsley, CEO of Lifestyles Unlimited.
Remember this, motivated sellers are found, but deals are made.
It's valuable information. Learn how to find those motivated sellers and get the deals done. Join our free online workshop and learn how to retire in 5 years or less at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. Once again, that's lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And I had a lot of help over the weekend. I really did. Because what happened was we as Lifestyles Unlimited members that are part of the challenge or the preferred program that had an interest in doing this, we went to a property and we took a look at it. Now, this is a property that we as Lifestyles Unlimited members have known about for probably, I would say, a good 1 to 2 months. I mean, the buyer's agent that brought it to us found out about it, and he was trying to figure out what's wrong with this property. Why is this property not selling? Because this property has some good things to it. It really does. Let me just give you the number one thing that I like about this property. It was built in 1999, which tells me the property is not that old in comparison to the types of properties that I usually buy and rehab. You know, the overall condition of the property might be in really good shape. So as a result of that, what am I really going to drop into this property when it comes to repairs? Let's figure out why this thing isn't selling. So Tina and I, we got in the truck. We drove over to this property. It's about 35 minutes from where we live. We got there and there was already about, 25 or 30 Lifestyles Unlimited members there. It's an event that's where you meet other people, you have a chance to network with other people, and you have a chance to learn from other people. So get this. This is the team that came to this property that we as Lifestyles Unlimited members had the opportunity to feed off of. Okay, these are members of our team that are there to assist us as we're analyzing this property. I've got 4 buyers agents there, not one. Well, the one that brought the deal, he was there. He had to be there because he had to represent the deal, right? And there were 3 more buyers agents there to assist our members if they wanted to be assisted with by a buyer's agent or to talk to a realtor about what they see in the market, or maybe they didn't like the location of this particular property. Maybe they could talk to them about different properties or different locations. It's an opportunity to just have one-on-one time with these people, and it is incredibly valuable. 5 minutes talking to these people gives you about 2 hours worth of information. Just telling you. Now get this. We had a hard money lender there. Hard money lender is somebody who offers you money that you can use to not only acquire the property, but to do some, if not all, of the repairs. It allows me to get into this asset for as little money out of pocket as possible, which makes my rate of return even better. There was also a conventional lender there. Why would you have a conventional lender there if you just told me about hard money? Well, here's why. Because the conventional lender works with that hard money lender. That conventional lender offers you your long-term financing that you're going to put on the property, that 30-year loan that's going to be amortized over 30 years with a fixed interest rate. They're going to offer you that. And what that does is that cures the hard money loan that you took out. That hard money loan is designed to be a very short-term loan. It's not designed to be long-term financing. That conventional financing allows you to cure that hard money loan, put your long-term financing on the property so that you can begin and continue to operate the property for as long as you choose to own that property. Both of these types of lenders are necessary to have in your team. We had, now get this, not one, but 2 professional home inspectors. The reason you want to have a home inspector at the property is because these people are specifically trained to look for stuff that you have no idea to look for. Now, who else was at this event? A single family mentor. What's that? What's a single family mentor? A single family mentor is somebody who has been there, done that, got all the t-shirts, and can advise you on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And they can assist you with putting your roadmap together, your plan of action, if you will, so that you can get from where you are today to where you're going in the next 5 years, because you're going to get yourself retired in the next 5 years. That mentor was there asking all of the questions that everybody who was there wished they had asked. And let me tell you about this house. Okay, it's only about 24 years of age. From the exterior, it looks like it's in pretty darn good shape. It's got a raised foundation to it. The sidewalks all around it are good to go. And here, let me tell you something else I didn't tell you about this property. It's not just a house. It's a duplex. It's a newer duplex, if you will. Most of the duplexes that we come across as Lifestyles Unlimited members were built like anywhere from, say, like the 1930s to, I don't know, maybe the 1960s or 70s, maybe possibly into the 70s. The stuff from like the 70s to current times, either they're just not as distressed yet, in which case they don't make a good asset for us to acquire because they haven't been run into the ground enough, or there's other factors that impact them because those neighborhoods that they're in don't necessarily make for good rental neighborhoods for us. As Joey is the single family mentor, by the way. His name is Joey Sullivan, great guy. He is very knowledgeable about real estate, and he walked all of the members through the property and he asked very probing questions because he wanted people to think. He wanted people to understand, what does it cost to do certain repairs? What repairs do you need to make? What repairs should you not make? What do you see wrong with this property? And I mean, he was going over the property like he was the home inspector. And ironically, he had 2 home inspectors hanging out with him that were doing the same thing. So you're getting all this real-time information about what's right, wrong, and indifferent about the property. All right, let me set the stage for you regarding this property. This is one of the things that's wrong with it. When you get into the interior, what you find is on the south side of the property, it's in pretty good shape, except somebody broke one of the windows, got into the property, and it looked like they were trying to steal some of the copper wiring out of the wall. So one of the bedrooms, somebody had disconnected the copper wiring and started actually like pulling it through the drywall. Maybe they got about 12 inches, 18 inches possibly, and then they stopped. Maybe the cops showed up. Who knows? And they also tried to take a 20-gallon hot water heater out of the property, as well as they stole the air conditioning and heating system. So that's what they were doing. They got into this property and they stole that. All right. Now Not too bad. The overall condition on that side of the property it was pretty much almost in make-ready condition. So you've got some HVAC you got to replace. You've got a hot water heater you've got to replace. So you've got some plumbing you got to do. A little bit of electrical work. Probably some interior painting. Update the appliances. Not terrible. Not terrible. Okay. And of course you got to do the things to get it up to code and everything like that. Fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide detector. You got to have. Well, there's no garage, so you don't have to have a peephole going into the garage because there is no garage. But you do need to have a peephole in the front door. That's code, at least in San Antonio. Okay. So far the property is looking pretty great. And then we get over to the other side of the property. And here's what we find on the other side of the property. Somebody had broken into that side of the property too. And what did they steal? The air conditioner. They tried to steal the hot water heater, but it was still there. I guess they decided they didn't want to take it after disconnecting it. There was no electrical damage that we could see in this in the northern unit. There was no electrical damage at all, outside of like a missing faceplate here, or somebody actually took the receptacle out. Yeah, weird stuff, right? Minor $5 repair stuff. But here was the problem. Somebody had gotten in there after the damage had been done, and they were squatting in there. Yes, they were squatting in there, and they were damaging the property. It kind of looks really bad. The flooring is very damaged. The appliances very damaged. The over range control damaged. The kitchen needs to go. I didn't say that about the south side of the property, did I? I said that about the north side of the property. So the north side of the property had a lot more rehab that needed to be done. Okay, so the costs associated with doing all this rehab went up. And then after we walked the property, some of us more seasoned guys, we kind of went out into the backyard, and there were about 4 of us standing around, and we were trying to figure out, why is this property still on the market? Because this is what we know. This property had gone on the market about 9 months ago. Now, a property that's like 24 years of age, if the numbers and the price is right, should have been gone like that. I mean, it should be gone, boom. Like the first investor that saw it should have probably like snagged it. But that didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. So over time, one of the Lifestyles Unlimited agents came across it. I don't know if another broker talked to me about it. I don't know if they found it on the MLS. Don't care how they found it, but they found it and they thought, a Lifestyles Unlimited member can probably buy this property. So that's part of the reason this property was brought to us as Lifestyles Unlimited members, so that we could determine whether or not this is something that would work for us to put into our portfolio. So the 4 or 5 of us that were standing around in one of the backyards, we're going over all the financials on this property. And we realize that there's one glaring problem with this property. One glaring problem that stands out above all the other problems. It is the price that the owner is asking for the property. They're asking $210,000 for the property. Well, what's wrong with that? Well, here's what's wrong with that. The after repair value of the property, in other words, all fixed up, what it should be worth in today's market in that general area, and there's some really good comps in that area, suggests that the after repair value of that property is $278,000. At a purchase price of $210,000, even though this property's got some things going for it, it's got a lot of things not going for it, by the way, but it does have some things going for it. To purchase that property at a $210,000 price would blow the numbers on the deal. It would totally blow the numbers on the deal. This property cannot be purchased for $210,000 because the numbers don't work. Because here's what we found out. The rehab on this particular property, the rehab is going to run anywhere from about $50,000 to $60,000. Now, the agent felt that the rehab on this thing was going to be about $60,000. Those of us standing around in the backyard who've done several of these types of properties fairly recently have a pretty good handle on what certain things cost. We pretty much felt we could get it done for about $50,000, which improves the numbers a little bit. But here's the problem. With a $60,000 rehab, with $10,000 worth of closing costs, your cash out of pocket to do this deal would be $86,400, which would give you a negative return on equity. So in other words, you're actually paying an extra $2,000 more than you should pay for this property just to make this property break even. Yeah, this is a terrible, terrible deal. How do you fix this? Well, in a seller's market, you just walk away. You just absolutely walk away. But here's what Del Walmsley has been telling you. Del Walmsley is our founder and CEO. He's the founder and CEO. We'll call him the guru if you want. Call him the Del. I don't care what you call Del, but listen to what he says. We are in a buyer's market right now. A buyer's market exists right now. What does that mean? That means that something we couldn't do in a seller's market, we can do now in a buyer's market, which is this: negotiate price. Now, this particular property was brought through the multiple listing service. So there's no wholesaler on this. There's nobody looking to get a fee and forcing us into an immediate sale. We can actually put an option period on this property. But here's what I know. In order to make this property work, the purchase price for this property needs to be a lot less than $210,000. Now, the agent felt that maybe the seller would be negotiable and could come down to $190,000. The problem with that is it's still going to be over $66,000 cash out of pocket for me to do this deal, and I'm only going to capture about $18,000 in equity. I want to at least double my money in captured equity if I'm going to do a deal. So right there and then, those numbers blow the deal for me. I cannot afford to pay $190,000 for this property. What can I afford to pay for it? What's my maximum number that I can go? My maximum number, based on an adjusted repair cost of $50,000, not $60,000, what the agent thought, my adjusted number of $50,000 tells me that I can afford to pay $176,000 for the property. If my cash out of pocket will be $41,400, I'll capture $42,000 worth of equity. I'll have $605 worth of cash flow every month. That's a 17.5% cash on cash return. So at $176,000, this property works. But here's what the Brain Trust figured out as we were standing in the backyard. The current owner of the property bought the property just prior to COVID, and they paid $185,000 for the property. They would be upside down in their mind. That's why they're trying to get $210,000, because they're trying to break even on the property. Here's the problem. They will probably not break even on the property because the market doesn't support their terms. And here's the other problem that owner has. That owner is sitting on a damaged property. They didn't have the right kind of insurance on that property to deal with the damage that was inflicted on it because it was vacant. They didn't have the right insurance on it, if they even had insurance on it. And that's part of the reason they're in this problem. And here's the other thing. The annual taxes on this property, based on the assessor's office, is $6,500 per year, which they're going to have to pay. So either way, they're going to keep paying money for this property, whether it sits vacant or they sell it. I think they should cut their losses. I think they should sell it to me for $176,000. I could do this deal for $176,000. At the end of the day, some of you might think I'm taking advantage of somebody, but I am not. Actually, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to solve a problem that they've had for the last 9 months. If you want to do what I'm doing, if you want to do what the 50,000 members of Lifestyles Unlimited are doing, go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for a free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.